Welcome to another episode of Exit Philosophy, first of the new year. Happy New Year, Mal.
Happy New Year to you.
He's Mal, I'm Griff, and we're ready to rumble here. The Blue Jays are making moves as opposed to a lot of teams in the AL East, which we'll talk about. But before we get into that, I just want to thank our listeners for staying loyal, for subscribing to Exit Philosophy. And if you enjoy us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, don't forget to like, share with your friends, and leave us a review. The big news this week, Mal, is Kazuma Okamoto.
Yeah.
Blue Jays finally get into the Japanese market with a player of significance, or they're hoping a player of significance. 4 years, $60 million. And it sort of is an interesting signing because it takes them out of a lot of the other rumors that they were involved in. Bregman, even some of the third basemen that were still on the market. But what's your impression just from afar of the signing of Kazuma Okamoto?
Well, you got to give them credit for continuing to be aggressive in the market. They've made more moves than most teams, haven't they? They appear to be filling needs. Like you say, you never know how it goes, but I think that's a significant one. It's probably an indicator of what they plan on doing the rest of the offseason. Hopefully this guy is exactly what they need. I mean, they needed a bat. They needed a third baseman or a second baseman. And, I'm not going to profess to know a lot about the player, but like you've mentioned before, I think it's important to get into that Japanese market too. I think it's opened things up, and their success is certainly an indicator that they're on the radar at least. I know it's not as easy to get guys to the East Coast as the West Coast for Japanese players. So I think I like the signing. I mean, I just think there's a lot that's going to have to play out to see how the player fits in. But full credit for the effort they're putting.
Yeah,
this off season.
We spoke about the influence in the Japanese market, in the Asian market, Pacific Rim baseball, of their appearance in the World Series against the Dodgers. And I remember talking in November after Ross Atkins had his media conference, and I had asked him the question at the presser about whether, even though the Japanese market was tuning in to see Shohei and the Japanese players on the Dodgers, the influence of them seeing Toronto and playing for a country and the clubhouse and the team and the camaraderie had to have an influence moving forward for the Jays. And at that moment, when I asked the question to Ross, his face lit up momentarily, which is more than he usually gives away in terms of how he really feels. And then he got back to being, the conservative, I don't know, it's, and he mentioned the West Coast, East Coast bias for Japanese players being closer to home. But this is an important signing for the Blue Jays, and not just for the moment, but for the future, in terms of now you're going to have a Japanese media and with a starting pitcher, especially as the Jays had previously, that the Japanese media really only needed to be around once every 5 days, but they're going to have, and it's going to be a strain on the PR department to have 3 or 4 Japanese media following almost every day.
Yeah.
Especially in the home games where they can come get a hotel for the week for the homestand. So it is an important move, not just for the present, but for the future. And I think that when I thought it was hilarious when Okamoto talked about his daughter looking at the 30 logos and pointing to one. And then I suggested that maybe the Red Sox or Yankees could get an alternate logo of Hello Kitty or Dora the Explorer, maybe to help their recruiting of free agents.
Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Yeah. But whoever designed the Blue Jays logo deserves some credit for this one.
Yeah, no question. Yeah.
The press conference that was staged,
How was it?
I didn't go because I refused to be a part of the Scott Boras Dog and Pony show. And it's a press conference that for a $60 million Japanese player that nobody really asked for in the Toronto market. Yet Dylan Cease, who was signed right after the World Series, they didn't bring to the Toronto market. They didn't bring for the Toronto media to meet. Scott Boras, who runs this entire show, he saved the Dylan Cease appearance for the winter meetings in Orlando, which I found insulting to Toronto fans, to Canadian fans, that you want your national media. And to me, the way that Scott Boras pushes teams to have press conferences when his clients sign, and then he sits right next to him, the GM's on one side, the players in the middle, Scott Boras elbow to elbow, so he's on screen. I think this is as much a recruiting process for Scott Boras in Japan and Korea as it is for anything else, as it is for allowing Canadian media and Blue Jays media to meet the new player. I mean, the quotes that we heard were through a translator, so who knows how accurate they are. You know, Hector LeBron sometimes takes liberties when he's translating for the Spanish-speaking Blue Jays players. So I just didn't go. I mean, I don't want to be a part of that. And it was streamed live, and so.
Well, he's become as much a part of the show as anybody, like it or not. I mean, the agent, he's created, and I'll give him full credit. He's created enough value by being this bombastic and larger than life personality that it works. And most agents historically have been in the background. You don't even know who they are.
Most times agents don't go up on stage for the main. They stand at the side, and if media wants to interview them after the main portion, they do that. But with Scott Boras, it's about Scott Boras.
And it's hard to argue the success. I mean, they started out as contractual guys, just making sure the language was right, and you know what I mean, and things like that. So he's made himself a celebrity, and that celebrity has earned guys a lot of money. So I get it. He's kind of annoying at times, and he's not a player, but I mean, it's worked.
Yeah, I admire him for how well he does his job. I just don't have to like him.
No, you don't.
I remember with the Expos in San Diego, and Scott Boras was just getting into being the mega agent that he is. And Bill Stoneman and Dave Dombrowski were the co-GMs they were both on the road trip. It was a West Coast, why not? So Bill Stoneman apparently gave Dave Dombrowski gave tickets in the club box to Scott Boras, and Stoneman looked down into the seats and saw that Scott Boras was sitting in the Expo seats, and he refused to go down. He didn't want to be seen. He didn't want to have to talk to Scott Boras. So even in front offices, there's mixed feelings about the way that he operates.
I mean, the previous regime that I was a part of just refused to deal with it. So whether like I said, I don't know if that's smart or not. You're cutting yourself off from some major players when you do that. But a guy like Beeston, he would be offended by that. He's offended by his approach because that's not what you were used to with agents. But I think Mark's been smart enough to understand that the world changed, and if you're going to be a player on some of the biggest free agents in the game, you're going to have to figure that piece out. And they clearly have found a way to work with Scott pretty well.
Scott Boras is a man of extremes, because some of the best contracts in Major League Baseball have been negotiated by Scott Boras. and many of the worst contracts in Major League Baseball that have been good for the player. You know, you just look at Rendon and Anaheim, what a waste of money that was. But some of the worst contracts for teams have been negotiated by Scott Boras. So he's an agent of extremes.
There was also a couple of years ago when he couldn't get his guys a long-term deal. There was a bit of pushback, and they had to do the, smaller deals with optos.
Optos after every year, right?
Yeah. So it goes both ways a little bit too. There was definitely a rebellion against Scott Boras that year, I think. So.
Yeah, it didn't last very long, but it
didn't last very long.
It was noticeable, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for you, Mal.
Yeah.
Are the Jays done, even though they remain alive in rumors for both Bo and Kyle Tucker? I mean, people are even suggesting, well, they could sign both, which I think is a ridiculous concept. But are they alive for one or the other, even with the signings that they've made?
I wouldn't say no to anything at this stage. I mean, I'm surprised they've spent this much money. So hey, knock yourself out. Go sign everybody. They're the new leaders of the pack here. Do I think they're done? I think so. I'd be surprised if they spent all that money on Tucker. And it's like we've said many times, I think both sides are probably done with each other in the Bo sweepstakes. Nothing is set in stone. Circumstances change. Never say never. But I just think, read the tea leaves for as long as I've been reading them in our discussions. I think both sides are probably we're ready to move on. So,
well, you and I have discussed the fact
so
that
I think Bo is unlikely, and Tucker's a lot of cash.
Yeah, we've talked about, well, for the last year at least, about the fact that Bo has probably already made up his mind that he's going somewhere else. That it's over with the Blue Jays. And we felt that same way. And there were obvious signs that the Blue Jays realized that when they moved Andres Jimenez over to shortstop, even when they acquired Jimenez, because he is a shortstop, great shortstop defensively. There was that moment. And then there was that Bo wanted to play shortstop. Now there's things that are changing. I mean, Bo has agreed. He went out and explored the market, and the market to me doesn't seem as lucrative and as demanding of players like Bo as he thought probably headed to the market. So that sort of opens the door a crack for him to come back to the Blue Jays as a second baseman. And it would have to be as a second baseman if they're serious about being the best team that they can be. But also the fact that Bo got married, his wife Alexis, and the wives all went down. I'd be interested to see if Don Mattingly was at the wedding, because he just went over. He said he wanted to, Mattingly, for those who haven't seen it, is now the bench coach for the Philadelphia Phillies. And he said he wanted to leave the Blue Jays and Ross Atkins said that the reason that Don was leaving is because he wanted to spend a little more time with his family. Well, Preston Mattingly, his son, is the GM of the Phillies, so he is spending more time. Yeah. I mean, it's clear. But the last image of the World Series was Don Mattingly wrapping his arm around Bo in the dugout. And there's a special relationship there. I mean, they worked a lot. Bo is open to especially the hitters who have a history of being able to do it themselves, like his dad.
Yep.
In 2020 and 21, when his dad was working with the Jays, the relationship was clearly more than father-son. It was Bo respecting what his dad had done and listening. So Don Mattingly would be in that same category in my mind. And so, like, maybe the Phillies are now the front runner in the Bo sweepstakes, because Bryson Stott, a nice second baseman, but he's no Bo.
God, no. That's a huge improvement. And again, like I said, I just think you can sense that the Jays have planned around Bo leaving for a while now, and then the subsequent moves they've made. I think they're fully prepared to give Ernie Clement the second base job. You got Barger that can move over to third and fill in there if with Okamoto. I just think both sides prepared for this to not happen. But like you said, you never know. The market changes, and all of a sudden you might circle back, as they say. But I mean, and to sign Tucker too, that's an enormous amount of money. If they can pull that off, whoa,
twice as much as Bo. So I think Bo is a better fit, even though he's a right-handed hitter. Tucker's a left-handed hitter, but Bo's a better fit. I think Ernie Clement, we talked about it before. I think Ernie Clement sort of was out over his skis in the postseason, 40 postseason hits.
For sure.
I think, like, if you have Ernie Clement playing a lot of second base, a lot of third base, and shortstop when Andres Jimenez is up against a tough left-handed pitcher, you have Ernie out there. And there's always injuries in the infield. And Ernie Clement, of course, can fill in with Gold Glove defense at three positions. And so I think he could still get in 140 games.
Yep.
That's a super utility guy.
Yeah, for sure.
And the team would be better.
For sure. For sure.
It's tough to overcome the fact that Bo may have closed that door in his own mind a year ago, and the Jays, Rogers' ownership, maybe Rogers' ownership is like drunk on the power of being the American League champions and making a shitload of money off of maybe more than they ever thought they would in the postseason, because ticket revenues for the first 4 games of the postseason of the World Series go towards the pool.
Yeah,
they don't dip into the merch, the beer, the food, everything else that surrounds being in the World Series, and the streaming and the new subscriptions, and the fact that Canada, with 1/10 the population, had like 25% of the viewership. So this is all stuff that Rogers has considered when it comes to their seemingly bottomless well of money they're willing to spend on payroll.
Well, they finally figured out what it means to just their brand and across the country, and just how it can impact their business. It's the only time anybody likes Rogers.
Yeah.
Like it's a big deal. I think it even impacts the stock price.
I remember the winter meetings in Las Vegas, and Paul Beeson had just come back to being president again. And so it was probably 2007. I forget when the Vegas meetings were. But the question was asked, and I was covering for the Star. I was in Vegas, and asked about spending money on free agency and going out. And Paul's reaction shocked me, because he seems like roll the dice kind of guy. And he said, as soon as fans start coming back to the ballpark in big numbers, we will spend the money and go. It seems like counterintuitive, to especially in sports, where you can build a fan base if you win, right?
Yeah, you got to win. That's right. You got to win, and then we know how that goes.
So the question is, the Jays got to the World Series Game 7, 11th inning. But you look at the individual pieces, and the sum of the whole was greater than the individual parts. And now we've talked about it. Who's going to bat 4th, 5th, and 6th in this lineup? Who's going to bat second? I mean, who's an ideal number 2 hitter? They got a bunch of good players. They all, even the new guy, even the new third baseman, fits into the mold of good contact, patient hitter. But he's not a 4 or 5 guy, especially in the lineup. And who's the second place hitter? Is that Vlad? If Bo doesn't come back?
I thought the same thing last year too. I mean, that lineup wasn't very optimal. I remember looking at it going, yeesh, but somehow it produced, right? You're right. There's no traditional. Santander would be your guy, I think, to hit for. And see
Yeah,
if
and that's rolling the dice because of his season that he had last year. And you pointed out before we went on, just one bad season doesn't mean that you give up on a guy.
and he got hurt. I think everybody's like, move on from him. Why wouldn't he be able to bounce back? I mean, you got to just plug him in and just see what he's got first. He's a middle order guy that you need, that you signed. So you're right, though. Traditionally, I don't know who the two hit. They got a bunch of 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters.
So let me go around the field defensively, and let's try and plug these hitters into their optimal lineup spot. Alejandro Kirk catching, I'd say 6th in the lineup.
Agreed.
Vlad, if Vlad would bat second regularly, I mean, Josh Donaldson won an MVP doing that. And it's all of a sudden, since that time, it's become very popular to have what used to be a 3-hitter hitting second, give him more at bats, that sort of thing. But he's a second or a third place hitter, and he likes hitting third.
Yep.
So
third's good. Yep.
Ernie Clement, he is a great young man and a great defender and pesky hitter. But to me, he's an 8th place hitter.
Yeah, 8, 9 guy. 8. Yeah. Sure. Yep.
No, we're reserving the 9 hole for the guy at shortstop.
That's right.
Bettis, who began last season as a cleanup hitter. Remember that?
Oh, Jesus. And it came out of the first series on fire, too.
Yeah.
Cleanup hitter.
So after Clement, we go Okamoto. It's an unknown at this stage. And if you pencil him in at third base, I think he's another guy who probably 6th in the lineup.
Maybe 5.
Otherwise, yeah, maybe 5. So maybe you got a 5 guy.
Yeah.
Jimenez 9th. Santander, you said 4th, but that's rolling the dice again. You know, as a defending American League champion, you shouldn't be rolling the dice as much as we're talking about right now.
Yeah, well, there's no Aaron Judges in this lineup, so to speak, right? But he's my 4-hitter, Santander.
Now, Varsho, to me, is like a tremendously overrated
7.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 7-hitter. He swings and misses a lot. He's really, he's got decent speed, but he's not like a
good base runner
guy.
He's a good base runner.
And he's a defender.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand, I don't know about you, but I can understand that he has not yet been offered a multi-year contract to lock him up. He's the only guy going to arbitration on this roster, scheduled to make $9 million in arbitration. But I need to see another year of a healthy Dalton Varsho to see what I got. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I've never been a big Varsho guy. It's the same. I mean, everybody loves him. I get it. And it's all about the trade and comparing him. He's been a solid player, and he had quite a run with the Power last year. But he's your 220 hitter with 20 home runs and a smart player, smart base runner, good defender. But he's a bottom of the order hitter, right? So you got a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Now, Springer, we're conceded that he's going to be the DH and lead off. I mean, we didn't think that last year. He shocked the hell out of us.
Everybody. And management. I think they tried to move him, and they were ready to give him away.
But in the same way that you can't take a Santander down year and say this is going to be the rest of his career, you can't take a Springer up year and say this is going to be the rest of his career, because baseball is such a game of adjustments, maybe, and plus he's getting a little older too.
But I mean, he's your one right now. Yeah.
Brings me up to the wild card guy in this lineup, who seems to be bouncing around like a ping pong ball here, Addison Barger.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really good player at 2 positions, third base and right field, and he'll find playing time. But also in the batting order, to me, in this whole motley group, he might be my idea for the best second place hitter in the lineup.
Well, therein lies your problem. It's boom or bust, right? I mean, he could be a star, but at the same time, Barger's going to be required to be in the heart of your lineup. So you're going to need production from him. He can't slowly move into, I mean, it's time now. He's not going to be in the bottom of the order where you hide him. You don't have room to hide the guy. He's going to be in the 2-hole or the 3-hole or those middle order spots. So
if it depends where Vlad wants to hit. I think he wants to hit third. That's why I put Barger 2. But if Vlad is willing to hit second, then maybe Barger's third, and offers a little protection being a left-handed hitter and having like lightning power that can strike any time, but not the consistency yet to be considered a star hitter.
Yeah, wildcard is right. Wildcard is right. It's going to be interesting to see what he can give you.
So he needs to be in the lineup. We don't know what position, and we don't know where in the batting order. So other than that, it's beautiful.
Well, maybe it's Kyle Tucker. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe that's why they're looking at that. But then that takes away a lot of playing time for a lot of players. We're looking at Nathan Lucas, and to me, he's a bench player. He's a fourth outfielder at the best of times. We've seen him play every day, and like most bench players, there's a certain statute of limitations of games in a row that he can excel, and then it sort of hits a wall.
Yeah, it's time to move on.
Straw, if you're going to have Santander in the outfield, you need a guy like Straw to go in when you have a lead late.
Yep.
Backup catcher, probably Heineman.
Yeah, he deserves another year.
So if Bo signs or the other guy,
Tucker,
then Davis Schneider to me is out of luck.
Yeah, and he should be. I think it's time to move on. Those guys, the Lucases, the Schneiders, I mean, you've got to be better than that. You got everything you could get out of them. So, thank you very much. And, let's see if we can't improve what we have. That's for sure.
So here's the most meaningless stat, apparently, to Rogers' ownership. The luxury tax that the Jays are at, their total payroll is now $308 million, which is higher than it's ever been by a lot. It's above the top level of penalty, and it's second only to the Dodgers. Last year, there were 6 out of 9 teams that paid a penalty in the luxury tax. Now they're second, and they don't seem to care. Do you think that number means anything at all? I mean, we've talked about Jose Berrios, and we both agree that Jose Berrios needs to go. I think it should be the next move, and you think that they could even wait to spring training. Explain that.
Yeah, I just think there's no rush on it. A lot can change. Clearly, Berrios is going to need to be a starter. I think he won't be happy unless he is, but you can bring him into spring. You can get him all his starts in spring, and you can let the market adjust. You never know. Guys get hurt. A lot can happen. I just don't think there's a rush to move him currently. Guys get hurt on other clubs. So I'd bring him into spring and just let it play out. Obviously, you have an idea what you might be able to do or get for him, but to me, there's no rush. Unless, he forces your hand, whatever. But I just don't see the need to do anything currently. Just let it play out, bring him to spring, and let's see where the chips fall first, because you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the never know involves a guy like Shane Bieber, who had, forearm tightness?
Yep.
And that was revealed at the postseason Ross Atkins availability, and everybody went, what? Then why is he pitching the 11th inning of Game 7 of the World Series if somehow you knew that, But going to spring training with Berrios there, if there is a late start for Bieber in entering the rotation, then Berrios could be that guy. The only thing is they have Eric Lauer. Eric Lauer could be that guy. And to me, the argument against bringing Berrios to spring training is the distraction of people knowing that he's on the market, people knowing he needs to be traded because you're not paying $66 million for the next 3 years for a guy that is at best going to be a long man in the bullpen.
Yeah, no, that's fair too. You don't want a distraction.
Yeah, from day one it would be. And I mean, we've both been in that PR seat with the Jays, and now here comes the media saying, could you bring Berrios out to the screen? We want to interview him. And you're going, oh, nothing good is going to come from this. This is a guy who left the team, and he's a proud athlete who has done everything possible to take the ball every 5 days, to stay in shape. But the bottom line is, when they sat him for the last 2 starts of the season, and then he came up with a mystery elbow injury, which he's never had any injury in his 8 major league seasons, you begin to question what he's thinking at that point. And he had 2 total inning bonuses that kick in for innings pitched in 2025 and 26 combined. So they cut him back by, say, 14 innings by taking away his 2 starts. Now that makes it tougher for him to collect his bonuses. And like, you got, as a player, as an athlete, that has to go through your mind that, you know, maybe this is part of why they're doing this.
Well, and I think he's really taken an unfair beating in this marketplace too, just from the fan base. After everybody found out he didn't stay for the World Series, which we knew. He's been such a good soldier and such a good teammate. I think it's just been unfair for people to criticize the guy who's been your complete, reliable soldier and who's really kind of been mistreated a little bit here. I just think he's taken an unfair beating.
Yeah,
that's
right. His win-loss percentage of games that he started, and that's what a team is all about. You go from 74 to 94 wins. It's not about WAR or anything like that. It's actual wins. And his win percentage in the games that he started as a Blue Jay was a .630 win percentage in Jose Berrios starts for his career. So, like, to rip into him for his analytics numbers, his metrics, it isn't really fair when you're looking for a team record. Like, he's contributed, and granted, they score a lot of runs when he's out there. Granted, he's had some games where he just didn't have it. But the bottom line is a .630 win percentage, and to compare favorably Chris Bassett when they have similar numbers. It brings me another question. Are the Blue Jays, in your opinion, going to miss the dugout influence of Scherzer, Bassett, and Berrios when it comes to young pitchers, Savage, some of the other guys that will be out there? Will they miss that influence? Because Dylan Cease seems more, what can you do for me than what can I do for this team? Like, he said when he signed that he wanted to be with an organization that could help him be the best that he can be.
Yeah, he's not bringing a confidence.
I want to sign and help other pitchers be the best they can be.
Yeah, no, there's some truth to that. He's not exactly coming here like a dominant Eric Cole or Sabathia or Scherzer, who's like, I'm going to dominate and follow me, boys. There's no question. For sure they're going to miss it. I think you can. I mean, it's not the be-all, end-all, but I think you do miss that influence. You know what it's like and what those guys can bring to when you're even Ponce. You're just not going to roll in here fully confident. Like, you're going to try to establish yourself back in the major leagues where you never have. Those guys can help.
There were 2 guys. There were 2 Hall of Fame starting pitchers who disappointed me in terms of not wanting to go and lead someone to a World Series. They wanted to go and be there with someone who was going to the World Series. One of them is Don Sutton when he was with the Dodgers and went to the Brewers. He was looking for 300 wins, and Raleigh Fingers was on the Brewers. And so he figures, well, I only have to pitch 7 innings and then I'll get my wins. And that was very disappointing for a guy who ended up going to the Hall of Fame. In fact, I think I didn't vote for him a couple of years because of that. but that's, and then the other guy is Roger Clemens when he left Toronto. And like he was looking for teams that could take him to the World Series.
Yes.
You know, and he found the Yankees and he found the Astros. And that might be the worst World Series I've ever been to, the 2005 World Series where the Astros got swept by the White Sox.
Yeah.
But he wasn't looking to lead them. He was looking to be carried by them. And that disappointed me. And that's not why he's not in the Hall of Fame. We all know why he's not in the Hall of Fame. And you were a part of that team, Mal. Weren't you?
Which one?
Oh, no, you weren't there yet.
No, I wasn't there yet.
Sorry for that. I take that back.
Not my fault, Griff. I wasn't involved.
All right. Here's an exercise. 2025, the Blue Jays go to the World Series Game 7. 2026, prohibitive favorites. I think the most prohibitive favorite they've been since 2013 when they made those deals with the Marlins and signed R.A.
Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I traded for R.A. Dickey and all that stuff. So, and we know what happened there.
We do. I was a part of that.
Yeah, there you go. Your fault. So with that in mind, 25 success, 26 predicted success, I'm going to ask you about, I'll read the rotation for each season and talk about what the difference is in your mind. 2025 opening day rotation. Gausman, Berrios, Bassett, Scherzer, Bowden-Francis. 26 rotation. Gausman, Cease, Yasavage, Ponce, and Bieber. What do you think?
You automatically go, oh, it's much better hindsight, right? But is it? I mean, what are you going to get out of Ponce? What are you going to get out of Bieber? Maybe phenomenal stuff. I don't know. It appears to be in much better shape. Right now you have Lauer and Berrios behind them. So you've got to like where they're positioned, but Yasavage too. I mean, it just doesn't work that way, Griff. Like you just don't know if Yasavage is just going to continue right out of the chute. He could end up in AAA for crying out loud. I do like it. I think it's positioned well, but there's no guarantee. There's still question marks, right? We thought Bowden-Francis was ready to take a step.
Oh, I was going to say, that's the guy that everybody
he stepped off the porch.
Right. Everybody thought that the last 2 months of 2024 was going to signal that the Jays had a new mid-rotation guy in Bowden-Francis, and that didn't work out. No. And last year they were thinking, Alek Manoah, he's rehabbing. He'll be ready at some point. And there was hope there, even though he didn't finish prior to going on the IL. He didn't finish well, but he had those 2 really good years. And everybody thought, well, he's young. He's going to come back. But this 26 rotation is head and shoulders if they stay healthy. Right. You've got to separate Gausman and Yasavage, and Cease is a perfect guy to put in there. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm putting Bieber fifth in the rotation because he's the iffiest one. Right. You give him a couple more days to get ready, and if he's not ready, then Lauer can go in and with a 5 where he should be. Right. And Ponce that's a guy who's had 1 good year at all.
It was pretty good though.
2 years with the Pirates in the majors.
Oh, nothing. But he's a different pitcher now.
He increased his velo. He added a pitch. He's more confident. He's MVP. He had the greatest season ever in KBO Korean League history
Right.
for a pitcher. So, there's reason to believe in the same way that you can't just write Santander off for a bad season. You can't say this guy's a Cy Young guy for a good season.
No, but they're in a good spot. Let's just say that they're in a good spot, but better than they were.
Yeah. If people remain healthy.
Yeah.
And I might be coming more towards you in terms of just allowing Berrios to come to spring training.
Talked into it already.
Yeah, and seeing what happens, how it unfolds. The only thing is that Lauer, if he jumps in the fifth spot, has the advantage of he had some success in 25. Plus, he'd be the only left-hander in that group, so that might help him too.
I'd be really curious to see where Bieber is in his progression.
Yeah,
as we, we're getting closer. Like, you haven't heard a word, which is fine. But I just, what did he do? Like, how much rest did he get? What's his pitching program? I'd just be curious as they start to ramp it up and just to see where he's at. That's a storyline you need to follow.
Yeah, it was just casually by Ross Atkins. Oh, yeah, no, he has forearm tight. He'll be ready for opening day. That didn't say he'll be ready for spring training, spring training or whatever. But, interesting. Now let's just go. This is crazy right here. We'll go to the bullpen comparison between 25 opening day when they went to the World Series eventually, and 26 heading towards spring training. 25, you had Hoffman closing, Jimmy Garcia, Little, Chad Green.
Oh, yeah.
Yariel Rodriguez, Nick Sandlin, Barnes, and Lovelady. That was the bullpen. Right. That's crazy.
Dick Love, that's right.
This year, you got Hoffman closing again for now. I think he's, legit until the All-Star break. I don't think they're looking out there right now for someone to replace him.
Agreed.
Jimmy Garcia, if he's healthy, which he is apparently. Little, I would be very skeptical about. They weren't going to use Little in the World Series until they got to the 17th inning of that game, and
Griff, you can't have a reliever and a short reliever that doesn't throw strikes. You just can't have it. Sorry.
You can't bring him in with men on base.
No.
Because he knows he's got to throw strikes, and he'll throw one, and the guy will just pop it,
Yeah.
So Hoffman, Jimmy Garcia, Little, maybe. Varland. I like Varland. He's a bulldog, and he gave up a bunch of home runs, but he was coming from his home. He's a young guy, inexperienced, and had to adjust quickly to the shock of leaving where he grew up and playing for his hometown team, the Twins, and then coming to a new environment. But what impressed me was giving up the home run to Judge and Jazz Chisholm, and then being handed the ball less than 24 hours later to be the opener, and then doing it and getting those same two guys out in that appearance. But being willing to take the ball, saying, give me the ball, I'm ready. Yeah. That was pretty impressive.
I still don't understand that trade from a Twins perspective. There's no need to trade your hometown guy who's got a great arm.
Which makes you think they might be willing to take Berrios back.
Maybe.
I mean, if they give away Varland, maybe they'll get Berrios back. Yeah. So Varland, Tyler Rogers, who's fascinating. Braden Fisher, you got to give him a spot after what he did in the postseason and at the end of the season. Fluharty, because
I like him.
Next little.
Yep.
Better. And then Lauer.
Yeah, they're in way better shape.
That's 8 guys, and there's no room for Berrios there.
True.
And the bullpen, what do you? You just said way better, but
Well, I didn't, when you said that 2025 opening day, you're like, oof, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was better than that. Nope.
Barnes,
Yeah.
Lovely.
Love Lady. Holy smokes.
And Sandlin, I mean, they love guys that
Yeah.
come at you from a different angle. So they got Sandlin.
They got a better version.
Yeah. And now they got Tyler Rogers.
Yeah.
Here's a stat, a trivia stat that might impress you. There were 2 free agent pitchers who have twin brothers, and the Jays signed both of them. Tyler Rogers and Dylan Cease both have twin brothers, and
I
both
didn't know that. I didn't know Dylan Cease had a twin brother.
There you go.
Wow.
Just hope he pitches better than his twin brother, but
yeah. You hope they get the right twin. Yeah.
The last twin brother I can remember is Carlos Tosca's twin brother, and that didn't work out too well. So.
No, maybe they got the wrong twin.
Yeah, well, maybe on days that he wants to go play golf at spring training, you just send his brother there to work out for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Teams with the best off season in the American League. I heard people. I'm not including the National League, but I've heard people rank the Jays off season anywhere from 3rd to 5th. Now that's crazy to me if you're only looking at the American League. Clearly, to me, they got to be number 1.
Who else would you put there?
I mean, the Orioles will tell you that, they got Alonso, they got Taylor Ward.
Come on.
They got Baz, Helsley. Helsley didn't have a very good year last year. He throws 103, and then Kittredge. So, but they also lost. I mean, to me, Grayson Rodriguez was an up-and-coming star.
I just don't get that trade on any level, unless there's something we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's the other team that people are saying. You got the Bo Sox.
I don't hate what Boston's done, except you just lose Bregman. I mean, I like the additions they've made.
Yeah. I mean, they got Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray.
That's a big loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one guy in the bullpen that doesn't, those are interchangeable. But the 2 big additions, Contreras and Gray, but they did lose Bregman.
Yeah.
And, they're counting on Roman Anthony being the next big thing. And so who knows? But I still don't think that, like, in the light of January, whatever day you're watching this, that those Red Sox additions match up to the Blue Jays additions.
No, and the Yankees have done nothing. I just can't imagine. I mean, they've been crying poor for a while, so maybe they aren't going to do much. Yeah.
Alternate logo, Dora the Explorer, get to the Japanese market.
Yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable the difference of what the Yankees and the Jays are doing in the approach.
Yeah, the Yankees have a sort of arrogance that things will work out. We are the Yankees, and maybe the new world order in Major League Baseball isn't so much about wearing the pinstripes. It's about the opportunity to win and how much money are you going to give me,
Yeah, well, that's right. It's always been that way, but the Yankees have been that team. And now Hal is no, George, that's for sure.
Okay, how about this for the Angels, who have a former Blue Jays assistant GM that we both like, Harry Menashian.
Yeah.
They add Grayson Rodriguez, who's coming off an injury, Alek Manoah, who's coming off an injury, Drew Pomeranz, Kirby Yates, who was a Blue Jay briefly, but did he ever get in a game? He was hurt all year. And then Jordan Romano, there's a shrewd move.
Well, you have to always question if we understand what year it's in, like a decade. I mean, That's a lot of work for our man John Gibbons to do. He's got a lot of sweet talking on that bench to get these guys ready to go. I don't know, and he's maybe capable of it.
The Rays did their thing. I mean, we're just talking American League and improvement and off-season, rating the off-season. The Rangers got Brandon Nimmo, Danny Jansen, Edwin Diaz. No, Alexis Diaz. They got the wrong Diaz. And then 2 relievers. And the Rays did their usual Ray thing where they look at the bottom half of the free agent market and they pluck guys out of there that can help them. And then they count on turning around pitchers that are sort of mediocre, turning their career around for 1 or 2 years until they get hurt.
They abuse them and then toss them into the bin again.
Yeah. And so they got Cedric Mullins. But, I don't think that speedy outfielders were their problem.
I mean, he's on his last legs, too.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So, when you look at the American League, the AL champions who went to Game 7 have improved more than any other team.
Yep.
So, doesn't necessarily mean they will go to the World Series again, but they certainly, for the fan base and for ownership, have done everything that really they could have done, and they may not be done.
And Griff, think about this time last year. Prospects weren't great. Ticket sales were horrendous. They started off April, early May with less than 20,000 in the ballpark, despite the attendance numbers. It's the turnaround in perception is massive, and I'm sure obviously ticket sales are flying high. It's just funny 1 year later, right? How quickly it's turned around. How quickly everything about this organization.
Yeah, I think
how it's perceived.
All of those turnarounds have created the biggest turnaround, which is the perception of ownership that spending money is going to make us a shitload of money.
Correct.
And that is why you've seen Dylan Cease. That's why you've seen all the signings that they've made, all the money that they're spending. It's because ownership came to that realization after it's been argued by generations, starting with probably JP Ricciardi, your buddy.
No, he did. He had to come in here, like you said, on a shoestring budget and then try to talk them into spending money, which he did to an extent.
Yeah.
Before we got our AJ Burnetts of the world. But and Mark's been the guy to get it done.
Yeah. I think JP's problem as GM and why he wasn't there longer than he was is he became a wine connoisseur, and his big wine was we're not spending enough money, and he made it public.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It wore him out. There's no question. It wore him out.
Yeah, well, we could compete with the Red Sox and Yankees if our ownership would spend money. That's not a way to ensure that you're going to be there for years to come.
That's right.
Here's one I want your thought on this one. The Yankees and Brian Cashman yesterday canceled all pre-existing international signing agreements. Is that a big deal? And what the hell is going on there?
Well, again, everything points to the Yankees not spending, being frugal. If you go back to Hal talking about them not making money and just floating out there the idea that there's a financial issue, which feels so absurd. I mean, I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could just cancel those agreements.
Yeah, well, I guess most of them are like a signature on a non-contract or a verbal agreement.
Well, for sure.
But,
I guess.
I mean, that most of the international agreements during the signing period are like $1,000 agreements with players. You're just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks, except for maybe 2 or 3 really significant signings. And maybe the Yankees didn't have any significant signings. So it's not that big a deal for
Cashman. Why do you cancel them? It's just a bad look, right?
It look bad, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a terrible look. It's just, I don't know. It's not a good sign for the fan base, or I think it's a bad sign, a bad look for baseball too.
Yeah, maybe Brian
Just that
Cashman.
whole market is a gong show. So
Brian Cashman's been there since
clean that whole thing up.
1998. Yeah, maybe it's time to just change a bunch of stuff with the Yankees right now.
Well, he's never had a losing season, so I'll give him that.
Yeah,
he's the Mike Tomlin of. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's won a lot more than Mike Tomlin. That's not fair. But,
speaking of which, let's get to the NFL playoffs. Game by game, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 games this weekend.
That's right.
And so we don't have to go through a lot of them. I'll start, and you can tell me what your pick is, and I'll tell you mine. Rams -10 against the Panthers. And it's in Carolina, which they earned that right by finishing, what did they finish, 8 and 9?
Yeah, they won the division. Yeah.
So Rams minus.
It's what does Carolina hang on for a cheap cover or not, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the question. Do they hang on for that cheap cover? I'll say no. I'll say the Rams.
I'll say no too, because they don't have a quarterback who's going to backdoor cover you.
Right. They need a couple turnovers. They need something crazy. It feels like the Rams will put up 21 real quick, and then you never know.
Yeah. And to me, the Rams are like a team that should win more than one game in the playoffs.
You feel like it. Yeah.
Okay. Next one is Packers -1.5. What the hell's going on against the Bears? Chicago.
Because I don't think the Bears are very good, but I feel like the Packers are just not in a good place either. I'm going to take the Bears at home. I think they're one and done after this. I think they get their one win and then bow out. But I wouldn't even be surprised if the Packers rolled them. But Packers don't feel like they've got it rolling either, right? So I'll side with the Bears for one feel-good victory in the playoffs for the Bears. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'd say the Bears win that one straight up. Michael Parsons out, I believe, still out. And the Packers always, when they had Aaron Rodgers or whatever, were like arrogant going into Chicago. I don't think they should be this time. And third time they meet this year, I say the Bears win that one.
Okay, yeah. So we agree.
Your Bills -1.5 at the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the alternate. I'll take the Jags, meaning I hope I lose. Yeah. But it feels like this is a tough spot for my Buffalo Bills. Obviously they got the best player in the field, but the other quarterback's going as well as he's ever gone, right? And the Jags play the Bills tough there. This is a tough spot for the Bills, but obviously I'm hoping the Bills pull it off. But I don't know. I feel like it's a tough matchup.
Yeah, to me, the Bills defense allows too many. They're too soft and they bend, and if they break too many times, they're always putting Josh Allen in a position where he's got to come back and lead a drive to get them back in a game or to keep them ahead in a game. And like, that's a lot of pressure to put on one guy. And I just playing in Jacksonville, I like the Jaguars also. The Bills are giving them 1.5. This is who's going to win the game straight up.
Yeah. Agreed.
49ers +4.5 at the Eagles.
This is my favorite game of the week. The only one I really feel good about, and I think the Eagles are going to put them down pretty easily. I just feel like the Eagles, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Eagles win comfortably. I don't think San Fran's going to find it easy to get into the end zone at all. I think it's going to be a struggle for the Niners.
So low-scoring game. The over/under is 44.5.
Yeah, I know, and it's I love the Eagles to win. I get it's 4.5. I'll give that, but I love the Eagles here. I just love them. Yeah.
I think the way I look at a lot of games is like if the line doesn't look right, then in my head I've screwed it up, because the lines are very rarely wrong. And to me, giving the 49ers 4.5 seemed like a lot. So in that
Does.
regard, I'm going to take the Eagles because there's a reason they're giving them that many points.
Yeah.
And Brock Purdy is still an Iowa State last draft pick.
I'm going to take that Niners team total under.
There you go.
Yeah.
So far we've agreed on every game, which is
that's
scary.
That's terrible. Yeah.
All right, 2 more games. Chargers plus 3.5 at the Patriots.
I'm taking the Chargers. I don't like New England, although, I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, you never know what you're getting with the Chargers and Herbert. But I just think the Chargers go in there and out-physical them and find a way to win the game. I just think this is Drake May is going to find out this ain't so easy come playoff time.
This is the first one we disagree with. I'm taking the Patriots, although they might not have the right recipe after their wide receiver beat up his chef.
Oh,
but I think Drake May and that team is with Vrabel. It shows how good a coach Vrabel is, coming from Tennessee, where he had some mediocre success, but given the talent level they had, and given what has happened to them this year, and even before Vrabel got there, shows you what kind of a coach he's always been.
No, he's a good coach. There's no question. Probably coach of the year.
Although there's a lot of them that could claim that.
Yes, there are this year.
Last game, Texans, wild card on a winning streak, minus 3.5 at Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers and his fluky Steelers and his 9-8 coach.
I'm going to take Houston to win and the Steelers to cover.
Wow.
I think there's going to be a battle. I get it. Houston's a better team. There's no question. But you're going into Pittsburgh. Houston's defense isn't exactly a juggernaut either. You know what I mean? So I'll take the Steelers to cover, but I think, 3-point win for Houston.
Yeah, I sort of have to like the Texans. If I like the Texans, which I do, I would have to take I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points going up on either side. So 39.5 is the over-under. I might just take the under in that game.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're pretty much on the same page in a lot of those things.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, Ironbacks update. I think that there are players out there, pitchers especially, and the qualification for your Ironbacks team is NCAA eligibility remaining and June and July commitment.
Yep.
And you're looking for arms, I hear.
Yeah. We're way ahead of where we were last year. We didn't have a team until now.
Yeah, right.
So we've got a bunch of guys signed, and I'm really happy with where we're at. But yeah, we're always looking for more arms, and that's the key, as you know. If anybody's interested as a college player, where to find us. So give us a ring. But we're certainly ahead of the game from where we were a year ago. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's a great venue to go and watch games in St. Catharines.
Yep.
And it'll be better baseball this year. It was good for 6 innings last year.
Yeah.
And then we ran out of pitching most games.
Yeah.
This will be good. And good luck rounding up your pitchers. And to anyone listening who knows NCAA pitching, who doesn't want to leave the country for June and July and wants to get some really competitive baseball, go on deadred.com or .ca?
.ca or ironbacks.ca.
Ironbacks.ca.
Yep.
All right, great. Well, that wraps up another episode of Exit Philosophy, and that was wide-ranging and fun. And Happy New Year to everybody, and we will talk to you again next week. That's great. Thanks, Mal.